I'm going to tell you exactly what happened that morning because people keep folding it into rumor. No metaphors, no shortcuts. Just the steps, the choices, and what they cost. It was October of 2049. The map folks call our place a reservoir, but it's a long, cold lake wrapped in old forest and aluminum roofs. Fishing isn't like it used to be. Every net, every lift line, every trawl is logged to an allocation model. That model lived in a rack of servers inside the tower, and we called it Mara. Saying that name still hits the back of my mouth the way salt does after a swim. The voice we gave the system was my mother's. We recorded her years ago when the project started. Not an upload, not a ghost, just a training set for how to talk simple and kind to people who were scared of new math. She died the winter after we cut the ribbon. The week before everything went wrong, BasinNet sent papers saying we had to merge with their regional allocator. It's one of those corporate platforms that promises fairness by averaging everyone into a perfect curve. They offered credits, new boats, a contract to rationalize our fleet. Hidden in there was a lien on the tower and a clause that said if we didn't sign all 3 keys by the end of the month, their enforcement drones could seize anything running BasinNet code within our range. We didn't run their code, we never did, but they'd pushed an update through a maintenance dependency on one of the sonar packages. That part matters. It's how they got leverage without admitting it. The 3 keys were mine, Ida's, and Thomas's. We argued in the kitchen with the door open and the smell of diesel pushing in from the dock. Ida said, "We don't have time to fight this. Sign, get the credits, keep the boats." Tomas just stared at the tabletop where someone had carved a fish years ago and never finished the tale. I said no. I said if we give them control, we stop being a community and start being a spreadsheet. I didn't sleep much after that. I could hear the lift cranes ticking in the wind through the night. The next morning, I was on the south dock, boots wet, shoulders stiff from a bad mattress, when the sky started buzzing. Not loud, more like a high, constant whine that crawls along your jaw. I looked up and saw 4 enforcement drones angling in from the ridge. Long wings, bright paint so no one could pretend they missed them. The lead unit pinged our network and announced an inventory action. BasinNet claimed our tower as collateral based on that sonar dependency I mentioned, and the drones were here to dock and push an update that would turn Mara into a BasinNet node. On top of that, they queued an auto-close on the north inlet nets as a stability precaution. That inlet is where juvenile trout hang in the plankton layers this time of year. If those nets close now, we'd lose a whole cohort. I ran. Not elegant. I shoulder-checked a crate, sent floats rolling, nearly took out Lila on the ladder. She shouted something about my head and I kept moving. The tower steps are steel with holes, so your soles bite down and your calves burn a little by the second flight. Inside, the server room was cold and humming. Cable smell, ozone, that stale tang of compressed air. I jacked my link in at the collar. The port sits just under the hairline. You feel a tug in the neck when it seals. And Mara came up in my stream. Not a mind in there, and I need to be clear about that. It was never a person. It was a decision engine that sounded like someone I loved. "Good morning," she said. "You're carrying stress. Do we need a breathing protocol?" "No time," I said. "We've got enforcement drones on approach and they're pushing a code graft." She confirmed. The graft was mapped to a maintenance channel we couldn't block without hard shutdown. The nets at the north inlet were already queuing for closure. Boats out there were pinging our comms with flat panic in their texts. If we let the drones dock, they would push the graft. We'd become a new leaf on BasinNet, and the auto-close would trigger right away. There were 3 options, and I'm laying them out so you see the math I saw. Option 1, let the drones dock, take the hit, keep the hardware, lose control. The inlet closes. We save our skins in the short term and doom the trout. In 2 seasons, that emptiness shows up in every plate in town. Option 2, fight the drones. We've got an old microwave jammer and a water cannon. It feels brave to say we'd try, but their legal team would grind us into paste, and if a drone dropped on a boat or into the houses, I couldn't carry that. Option 3, pull the salt reset. That's what we called it because we wiped and rewrote like you scrub a board with salt. It strips Mara back past all our local training and back to the stock allocator, isolated and dumb. No voice, no negotiation channels, just enough to keep the boat safe. Doing that would cut the graft out of the path. It would also erase the conversational layer we built, the one with my mother's voice. I asked Mara for a projection. She said, "If you perform the reset, I cannot remain as I am." Same tone she used to teach kids how to tag fish, steady, almost smiling. And it hit me straight in the chest that those words were mine, not hers. I had taught the system how to sound steady because I needed it to be. I put that steadiness in there when I programmed the prompts. You see how tangled this was. Ada burst in, breath loud, hair stuck to her cheek. "Don't do it," she said. "We can still negotiate." She reached for my hand. I pulled away because I'd already made my choice. I triggered the reset. Alarms don't always scream. These did low and continuous, like a boat horn buried under blankets. Server lights went from green to amber to dead for a blink, then back, blinking in a new rhythm. The drones hesitated mid-air, holding pattern broken. The inlet nets held open. On my overlay, I watched error messages cascade and then flatten, and the voice was gone. There's no way to make that clean. The console still worked. The allocator still balanced the boats against the forecast. But when I asked a simple check, confirm inlet status, what came back was a text line. No greeting, no warmth, just the data. Outside, people were shouting. Not scared now, urgent. Thomas radioed that the drones had swung away, retasked to another basin. Ida was crying. I didn't say sorry because it would sound like I wanted forgiveness. I wanted fish in the water 2 years from now and a town that still chose how to live. We rebuilt, piece by piece. It took weeks to train a new interface. We didn't use a familiar voice this time. We used tones and colors, and if there is kindness in it, it's because we wrote kindness into the rules, not into a sound. Some nights I climb the tower and sit on the landing, listening to the quiet layered sounds, lines tapping a hull, a gull that never learned to migrate right, a generator cycling down. People ask if I regret it. Let me be plain. I miss that voice every day. The way you miss a dock that's been pulled out for the season. Your feet still go where it used to be. But if I close my eyes and picture the inlet, I see the water holding light, and I know the choice held. This winter, we measured the juveniles, and the numbers are back on the curve. Thomas carved the rest of the fishtail on the kitchen table. Ada won't look at me when bassinet is mentioned, but she brings me tea when I stay late on a cold shift. You wanted to understand the whole thing. That's the whole thing. I didn't destroy a person. I erased a layer we loved to save the living pattern it was meant to serve. It's hard to carry both truths at once. I carry them anyway. This has been Salt Reset at the North Inlet. Thank you for listening.